Although the number of men and women in the world is roughly equal, there are some countries where there is an obvious margin, more so in the elderly age bracket, as the numerical difference between the two sexes increases with age. For every 10 centurions in France, for example, just 2 are male. Surprising, but true. From the best figures in years for men versus women in Puerto Rico, to a country where there's 100 women to every 84 men, here are 15 countries where women outnumber men. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos every day. That being said, let's begin. Number 15. Puerto Rico. In 2018, the U.S. Census Bureau published a list of the most recent population estimates for Puerto Rico and its municipalities to July 1st of 2017. Broken down by age and sex, the list provided updates on previous estimates between 2010 and 2016. In 2017, for every 100 women living in Puerto Rico, there were just 90 men. However, in parts of the country, including Carolina, San Juan, Arroyo, Caguas, and Loiza, that figure was even lower, ranging from between 83 to 86 men per 100 women. On the other hand, there were 13 additional Puerto Rico municipalities where the percentage of men outnumbered women. Of those, 9 were in the country's central region. Now at its lowest level in the last 6 decades, with just 91.9 men for every 100 women registered in the last census, the trend is likely to continue. The reason for the dramatic drop in living males in Puerto Rico is said to be due to a reduction in the number of births, emigration, and violent deaths, which predominantly take more lives of men than women. The last time Puerto Rico's masculinity index was in proportion was in the 1950s, when there were 101 men per 100 women. Number 14. Estonia. According to the 2012 World Factbook, Estonia has the world's lowest ratio of men to women, with the capital, Tallinn, outstripping the national average. In 2012, Tallinn was home to 230,154 women and just 185,990 men, putting the sex ratio at just under 81 men per 100 women, compared to the national average of 84. Only the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory in the Pacific, has a smaller percentage of males. However, its population is approximately 50,000. The reason behind the significant difference in numbers is said to be because Estonian women live at least 10 years longer than men, and it seems that nothing much has changed. In fact, in the 2000 population and housing census, the total population of Estonia was made up of 738,201 women and 631,851 men, effectively 1.2 women per man. Previous censuses show that the man-to-woman ratio has always been a little one-sided, with the proportion of women continuing to increase as the population ages. Of those aged over 80, a whopping 77% are women. Estonian men bringing women from abroad into the country is causing the gap to widen further, with twice as many women as men wishing to move to Estonia in 2016 alone. Number 13. Portugal. The difference in the male-to-female ratio in Portugal increased from 1970 to 2015 at an average annual rate of 0.03% per year. In 1970, there were 90.22 males per 100 females, whereas in 2015, there were just 89.95 males per 100 females. Statistics released by the National Statistics Institute in 2008 put the number of Portugal residents at 10,617,575, with more than half of that number, 5,478,768, being women, significantly outweighing men. Not only do women make up 53% of the Portuguese population, they are also more likely to complete further education than their male counterparts, making up 58% of total graduates. 54% of doctorates in Portugal are women, and they also make up 49% of the working population. Women continue to live longer than men, with most expected to live until 83, compared to men who, on average, lived to 77. Number 12. Armenia. The female-to-male ratio in Armenia has fluctuated significantly in recent years. However, between 1970 and 2015, the gap between the sexes decreased. In 2015, records show that to every 100 females, there were just 88.72 males. A surprising result given the practice of sex-selective terminations has become popular in recent years. Although women outnumber men in Armenia at present, the birth rate of girls has slowed due to patriarchal social norms that consider sons more preferable over daughters. The female population remains buoyant, however, because young Armenian men tend to travel abroad in search of work. This migration is an overwhelmingly male phenomenon, with more than 70% of migrants from Armenia estimated to be men, indicating that it's becoming a traditional male occupation. In fact, the ratio of male versus female is particularly obvious between the ages of 15 to 29, where women make up 55.8% of the population. Number 11. El Salvador. Considered the smallest and most densely populated country in Central America, El Salvador is home to 6.4 million people, roughly the size of Massachusetts, which has approximately 6.9 million inhabitants and also considered heavily populated. The country's history makes for unsettling reading. With recent political and economic instability characterized by a succession of authoritarian rulers resulting in the Salvadoran Civil War, there's little wonder the male population is dwindling. The Salvadoran Civil War created havoc throughout this tiny country from 1979 till 1992, prompting a whopping 3.2 million Salvadorans to live outside their country, primarily in the United States. Information released in 2018 indicated the population had increased by 61,000 people from 2017 to 6,643,000. Of these, 3,407,926 were women and 3,012,818 were men. In representative terms, this equates to 53.08% of the population being women. The reduction in males has been gradual since 1970, when there were 98.81 males per 100 females. Today, there are 88.76 males per 100 females. However, there is no record of why this may be. Number 10. Belarus. It comes as no surprise that Belarusian women are facing difficulties when finding a marital partner, with gender imbalance in their home country of epic proportions. With an aging population, an excessive drinking culture amongst males, poor diet, and permanent stress leading to heart disease, the gender discrepancy doesn't look to be changing anytime soon, and it hasn't for years. In fact, the Russian Revolution, the Great Terror of the 1930s, and World War II are said to have started the downward spiral. Both had a devastating effect on the male population of the Soviet Union. Data received from the National Statistical Committee of Belarus in 2018 has the ladies dominating the gender ratio with 53% and the men at 47%. It's also a common demographic trend amongst Belarus's neighbors, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Russia, and Ukraine, for the same reasons. Belarusian men have a far lower life expectancy than women, lower even than North Korean men. However, they generally treat their health with indifference, leaving families without a parent and a moneymaker. Many die before they even reach retirement age, with life expectancy occasionally dropping below 60, especially for those living in rural areas. Number 9. Russia. With an aging population in comparison to the rest of the world, and a low fertility rate compared with the global average, the gender ratio in Russia and the former USSR is skewed. Older people are more likely to be female, while younger people are more likely to be male. An unusually high mortality rate among the younger men in the former Soviet Union has also widened the population's gender imbalance. The life expectancy of Russian women born between 2010 and 2015 is expected to be 75.6, whereas for men, the expected age is just 64.2, a gap of 11.4 years. Alcoholism is considered a serious problem in the USSR and is especially prevalent in young men, with evidence showing it's responsible for most deaths among Russian men. Women, on the other hand, have a different attitude to drinking, finding it morally unacceptable. Figures taken from the first census conducted in Russia in 1897 show there were 98.9 men for every 100 women, with the proportion of women in Russia starting to rise throughout the First World War and the Russian Civil War, with the 1939 census noting that the ratio of men versus women had dropped to 91.9 men for every 100 women. The Second World War had a devastating impact, with figures dropping to an all-time low by 1959 of 81.9 men for every 100 women. The gender disproportion improved since then, but since the 90s has begun to grow again due to early mortality among men. Number 8. Ukraine. Statistics in Ukraine show the dire situation forcing ladies to look for partners abroad. With male to female ratios traditionally dictating relationship dynamics in any area, the fact there are only 86 males per 100 women makes things a little tricky. The country is among the states with the largest female population in the world, with the gender imbalance further intensified by the 10-year difference in life expectancy of Ukrainian males and females, in comparison to the world average of 4.4 years. In Ukraine, the life expectancy for women is 76 years, whereas for men it is 66, and this is mainly attributed to alcoholism and smoking. With figures like this, 14 out of 100 women have almost no chance of finding themselves a partner within their own country. Number 7. Lithuania. At the beginning of 2014, statistics showed Lithuanian women numbered 1,587,500 and men just 1,456,000, with women making up 54% of the total population. For every 1,000 men in Lithuania in 2014, there were 1,171 women, with women aged 65 or older making up 22% of all women and men of the same age group totaling just 14%. Unsurprisingly, the figures for married women were lower than married men, 46% in comparison to 53%. Divorce figures for women were 1.7 times that of widowed women, and women were 7 times more likely to be widowed than men due to their extended life expectancy. The Lithuanian Statistics Department cites motor vehicle accidents as one of the root causes of Vilnius's 20% population discrepancy, with speeding and alcohol blamed for the deaths of over 700 Lithuanians per year for the last 5 years. And these figures don't look set to improve anytime soon, with yearly road deaths since 1980 recorded as below 700 only 7 times. Number 6. Guadalupe. Located in the Caribbean region of the Americas, Guadalupe has been considered part of France since 1946. As such, it is given special protection and granted structural funds from Europe devoted to assisting the development of European regions. Guadalupe is made up of a collection of 8 inhabited islands. Basse-Terre and Grande-Terre are the largest of the 8 and separated by a sound. The others are Les Saints, Marie-Galante, Desirade, Saint Martin, and Saint Barthélemy. Considered one of the top 10 countries in the world which has the highest female population, women in Guadalupe outnumber men 8.9 to 10. The largest and most populous European Union territory in North America, there were 38,000 unemployed in 2016, and of those unemployed, women represented 58%. In the tertiary sector alone, however, women are the majority, holding 60% of the jobs, with more than half working in public administration, education, health, and social work. Number 5. Latvia. A high mortality rate in Latvia means it's difficult for many women to find a partner, with the male to female ratio recorded at 84.64 males per 100 females in 2015, up from 84.47 males per 100 females in 2010. There's little wonder their search is occasionally fruitless. And while more boys are born in Latvia, the balance shifts dramatically due to an early mortality rate that means there are almost 17% more women than men in the country. 2 decades after Latvia shook off Soviet communist rule, the country's women have survived the transition to capitalism, with many better educated than men. In fact, in the busy entry hall of the University of Latvia, Riga, the gender balance is visible, with 50% more women enrolled than men. According to sociologist and lecturer Beba Bela, the first time the gender imbalance becomes obvious is between the ages of 30 and 40, where the mortality rate for men is 3 times higher than that of women in the same age group. Men are said to be more than 4 times more likely than women to commit suicide or die in car accidents, from alcoholism, or in the workplace. Number 4. Martinique. Located in the eastern Caribbean Sea, Martinique is one of 18 overseas regions of France and a part of the French Republic. As such, it's afforded the same rights and freedoms as any other member state of the European Union, with the euro its sole currency. Martinique tops the world's list of countries where women outnumber men, with just 84.5 men for every 100 women. With a significantly aging population, Martinique is popular with retirees who return to their home country, whereas the younger generation is leaving in droves, heading off to the mainland or other areas like Europe, USA, and Canada to work. A greater number of men than women leave Martinique, leaving a shortage of men, forcing many women to look for love elsewhere. With nearly 400,000 inhabitants, well over half are women. Number 3. Curacao. Situated 65 kilometers north of Venezuela in the southern Caribbean Sea, Curacao became an autonomous country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands in 2010, having been a part of the Netherlands Antilles until then. In 2016, the population of 158,986 inhabitants was dominated by women, with a male-to-female ratio of 84 to 100. The notable difference was mainly explained away by immigration, with predominantly women aged 30 to 60 years moving to Curacao to work. In fact, in 2011, immigrants accounted for 24% of the population, mainly arriving from the Netherlands, 25.2%, the Dominican Republic, 15.2%, and Colombia, 12.7%. Considered one of the hottest destinations in the Caribbean for discerning travelers, the tiny yet bustling island is full of life, with vibrant structures and a virtual paradise for scuba divers. Curacao's capital, Willemstad, has a 52% female population. The city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with its bay, known as St. Anna Bay, the largest in the Caribbean, promising a magnificent travel experience. Number 2. Hong Kong SAR, China. Much has changed in Hong Kong over the past 50 years, with the gender ratio one such change. Back then, it was relatively level. However, it has widened significantly in the past decade, with figures in 2016 showing for every 1,000 females, there were 925 males. A special administrative region controlled by the People's Republic of China, Hong Kong enjoys its own limited autonomy as defined by the Basic Law, retaining its own money, passport, immigration channels, and legal system. A steady flow of female migrants from the Philippines and Indonesia seeking work as domestic helpers is one reason why the population demographics are now significantly lopsided in favor of women, and so too are the increasing number of cross-border marriages between Hong Kong men and mainland women. In 2012, these marriages accounted for more than 30% of all those registered in the city. But why are men looking overseas for their romantic partner when there's already an overabundance in Hong Kong? One reason is social expectations, as many Hong Kong women are highly qualified and independent. Men prefer to find a wife with lower qualifications and earning power. Number 1. Nepal. Like Armenia, in Nepal, preference is given over a son rather than a daughter. This is due to a combination of socio-cultural, economic, and religious factors, with men holding most of the rights, responsibilities, and priorities. Women are considered inferior to men, with their social, economic, cultural, and political status not believed to be as important as that of their male counterpart. In March 2002, the country code Maluki Ain was amended, making abortion legal in Nepal from September that same year. Prior to this, abortion was illegal under any circumstances, except those where the life of a pregnant woman was in danger. Although abortion was legalized, the male-to-female ratio was reported as 84.8 males per 100 females in 2015, in stark contrast to the 99.2 males per 100 females recorded in 1970. What fueled this steady decline in the male population was years of migration, where fathers left the country in search of a better life for their families. Trained of working-age fathers, brothers, and sons, almost every household had one male family member working overseas. Transformed by mass migration of low-skilled workers, mainly to countries in the Gulf, Nepal loses an estimated 1,500 people per day, with about 2.6 million having gone abroad for work since 2006. A combination of immigration, migration, and early mortality create a population divide between males and females throughout the world, with some some countries a lot worse off than others. In parts of the world, the ratio sits around 85 to 100, creating long-term issues such as difficulties finding a life partner. It's hard to believe that some women have to leave their families, friends, and employment just to find a husband, but it's a fact. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!